but today we hit our fifth milestone with our speaker series, and we are really happy that you are initiating our sixth edition today. So I will go ahead and just provide a brief introduction. So, many students in our class felt a sense of relatability. We had a similar speaker on who provided expertise in her field of sales, and we know that you have a similar profession but with a different focus in project and portfolio management. And we are just very inquisitive in knowing all about your field. So I will actually let you introduce yourself.
Sure. You can hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. So my name is Amna Ahmed. I have now about 20 years of work experience in the IT field. I went into the field not on by chance. This is the year 2000. I just graduated. I did my MBA in Europe, and my friends were going to an EU job fair, and I'm originally from Pakistan, so I was in Europe, and I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to go with you guys in the job fair. I don't want to work in the EU or European Union. But this is the year 2000, and I had no intention of going in IT. When I say 2000, if you guys are young, but in 2000, the whole world, IT world, was nervous that the computers were not programmed and they will not handle the change of the 1999 to 2000. So I went with my EU friends and recognized a couple of companies. One was Procter and Gamble. This is a consumer product company giant, and I'm sure you all use these products. These are things like Tide Laundry, Bounty, Mr. Clean for cleaning homes. Girls use, or women use Olay, kids use Pampers. So this is a company, and they were hiring in IT recruiting. And in my past experience, I had done some bank, working in the financial industry. I had done some work in the banking, so I had no intention. But the opportunity was good, so I took it, and I started working in Brussels in Belgium, and Belgium is the EU headquarters where the European Union is. So it's a very interesting melting pot of different nationalities from within Europe as well as international. So that's how I got into IT. And in the early part of my career, when you start in IT, you start typically what they call an analyst. So I was a systems analyst. And in that role, obviously, you're learning. So you are given, depending on your technical capabilities. I was not a programmer or a coder. I was more, I had done my MBA. So I was more interested in managing the project versus doing the actual coding and doing making a website and doing coding behind the scenes, or bringing an application to P&G to sell P&G products, or to give some tools to our teams who sell. Or when you go in stores, you see the shelves being displayed, you see products are on the shelf. There's a lot of fun stuff that goes in the background that I've been involved with in IT. So IT is not only coding and programming. There's a lot of fun stuff that goes on. So I worked in a variety of projects, a variety of technologies, and there are things that are technologies that are related to how we buy things, like supply chain. So a company buys products, P&G or any company has to buy products to make their final product. So how you work with your suppliers, and then how do you make it, and then how you sell it, right? In all aspects of a product, being from sourcing to selling, are IT systems in place so that you can automate your payments, you can automate do payments to the supplier who you purchased from, you can do programming projects to enhance the internal team. So as a project manager, I also need some tools to organize myself and run the project so I can show my organization, this is all the projects we are running. And how do we even decide which projects to do? And once we do them, how do we decide which people should do those projects? So it's all a matter of getting organized, understanding what our company needs, and then running a specific series of projects to accomplish those goals, just like in your lives, right? Or let me give you a very simple example. When you guys, your parents, when you were young, maybe they bought a swing set. They brought it from Costco or somewhere. It sits in your yard, but it's a project, right? You have to assemble it. So you have to plan from start to finish how you're going to go ahead and assemble that. How many hours will you take? Which days will you work on? Maybe you'll get a friend from your neighborhood to help you assemble that. So it's a lot of our things we do in our life are mini projects. So similarly, companies do similar things to bring a new product to life. So new Tide Pods, which was like P&G used to do liquid detergents and powders. Then they decided, oh, we want to do tablets. So there's a lot of innovation that goes on. And that's how you have to manage yourself, organize yourself, be disciplined to bring those projects to life.
Yes, I think that my dad worked in the profession of project management for quite a few years, and then he moved on to sales. But this is all sounding very familiar, and I'm loving the story. So without spending too much time, I want to kind of touch on your early life heading into the workforce. I think a lot of times we don't have a clear-cut in mind vision of what we want to pursue when we are coming out of our school. And so my question is, what education did you need to pursue this type of career, and what education pathway do you encourage students interested in, portfolio management, project management? What pathway do you suggest they take when coming out of high school?
I think it's very difficult for students, and I can relate at my age also. I thought I wanted to be a doctor, but ninth grade or 10th grade, when I had to dissect a frog back in those days, we had to do this. I was like, I chickened out. I cannot do this. Sorry. So sometimes those type of things are very clear for you, like, okay, this is not me. Or when I stepped in a hospital, I was like, this is a strange smell. I don't think I can be a doctor and handle the smell of the hospitals. So sometimes it's clear for you. Other times it might be some trigger that you, like this, for example, like if you are younger, and sometimes kids go to a fire station and they want to be a firefighter after that. So it's just clarity. So try to, what I will tell you is the pathway to what I did was, like, you can go into undergrad and then go to a marketing MBA, management, accounting, any of those degrees, and you'll still be able to do project management. Now there are IT career paths as well. If you're more hardcore programming, then you need to become a computer or software engineer versus like an MBA or marketing degree. But try to, what I would say is try to find your why. Like what inspires you? What is it that you enjoy? What are you good at? So find your strengths early on. And it's not that you should avoid your weaknesses. One of the things is that whatever you do in life, if you don't enjoy it, you will not excel at it. So you have to try to find it. So there's no harm in trying a couple of things at this age. And maybe what you can do is, if you cannot take these courses, because obviously my daughter also asked me the same, like law versus pre-med kind of courses, right? So she can't do anything about it. She can't do everything in the same time. So she took some summer courses. So always, like, try to keep your options open, but start to narrow down, because you should talk to yourself, right? You should open and sit quietly in a place. It's important, right? In this social media world, you guys get really easily distracted by all these devices, but really helpful if you disconnect from everything, try to find a quiet, happy place, practice mindfulness. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be religious to do that. You can just sit down somewhere and think about what excites you. What is it that makes what it is that speaks to you, and try to understand the purpose of why we want to do certain things. Why does it inspire you? So a lot of kids go into gaming and all that, which is fine. That's a good career. So I think developing games and all, but yes, that's their passion. They like it, they enjoy it. So it's best when you find something which you enjoy that becomes your career, right? So you don't want to wake up and dread going to work. So try to do this as and get your advice from your career counselors, your friends, and sometimes the advice can come from many unexpected places. But explore. Don't hold yourself back. Be a little bit of risk taker.
I think that last line it resonated with me personally. I think that it's very important to sometime in life, take some risk, because that is how you rise and you excel and you advance in your career. So beautiful advice. That advice touched us all somewhere, and I think we are all gonna really take that in from today's interview. But before I leave the education, and go on to your job, I want to ask you, so when students come out of their undergrad, of their master's, is your job easy to find in the workforce, and how much opportunity is there in this field? Is it easy to find? Is it take a lot of experience? What exactly are recruiters looking for when applying for this job?
So when you go out of college, you will not be like, it won't be a job description project manager. You will not get hired into that. You'll probably go into a company. So now I work for AstraZeneca. It's a pharmaceutical company. So I switched from, consumer products, which you consume at the end, and versus medicine, pharma, biopharmaceuticals. So when you go out of college, they're not going to hire you for being a project manager. You might get hired into an IT entry-level role, and then you can find your pathway. So within IT, we have what we call project management. We have some things around service management. So when you have Amazon or AT&T, it goes down, you call someone, right? So those are call centers. So that's service management. Whereas I could have chosen the path that I want to be the service owner for a few services of my company, and internal customers of the company then can call my team, and they are we have what we call first level support, second level support, third level support. So let's say if you guys have Canvas and all those applications, they go down, your school will first call the administrator or somebody from within the school. Then they will say, okay, no, we can't solve the problem. We have to go to Canvas, the company. So that's how internally also there's something called service management. It didn't interest me. So project management, again, you have to be a project team member first to become a project manager. So first you will be, when you come into a project, you will come in and you'll do some small part of the project. Maybe your role would be to do these 10 things. The project manager kind of plans the whole project from start to an end. So what is a project? A project is something that you are trying to implement, and it has a specific start and an end date. And once it's done, then you hand it over and it becomes a part of our life, what we call business as usual. So yes, so when you come in, you will probably go into a general field, and you will probably be a team member and develop yourself to be a project manager.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, now more so towards on a personal level, I want to ask you. So, coming out of undergrad, coming out of your education, was there something that what were the drivers behind your interest in project management? Was there something that you particularly resonated with within the field of work, or what really attracted you to come and work within this specific field?
That's a very good question. Yes. So I think the reason I like this field is because I was always the person who would like to take some leadership position, like even as growing up in my school, like you are doing, Herbani, is that, I'm being a part of a debate or leading a team, whether it's a sports team or something. I like that because I liked inspiring and empowering people. So project management is very similar. You inspire people. You're a very good communicator. You work on interpersonal relationships. You are able to convince people, why should we do this? I mean, everybody knows they have to do work, but you have to make it interesting, right? They come to work, they have to do this job, but you have to show them the why, like why, how will it enable our companies to achieve these goals, and how will it develop you? So that's probably what I enjoyed, is developing people, inspiring people, empowering people. And what I enjoy is when somebody's new and that person didn't have skills, I help them achieve those skills. So by the end of the project, they have had acquired a few skills, and I would sometimes throw them in and say, I'm not going to be able to run this meeting. Why don't you do it today? So I give opportunities to people to develop themselves. So I think that's why I came in, because it's like working with people versus, let's say, a programmer or coder will probably go in, write code, come back, show it. Whereas it's very collaborative work for me, to work with 10, 12 people at a time, and then presenting that back to the requesters, the stakeholders who are like affected by our project, and showing them, hey, this is what we achieved. What do you think? Getting feedback, going and improving it and coming back. So that's what I like. I think connecting with people, relating with people.
I know a lot of people within our classroom who I think are very good with that exact skill. Nowadays, now even with more so with COVID-19, people have had a harder time connecting with each other because you're behind the screen, and so many things are different. But I know so many students in our classroom who have that interpersonal skill that is greatly valued within the workforce. So wonderful advice. Next, I wanted to ask you, so within AstraZeneca, do you, what program do you run? Do you manage the financial sector, IT sector, strategy sector? Is there a specific, concentration you have within your field of work?
Yeah. So I work a lot on strategy. So I'm working at a site here in Capel where we make a drug which removes potassium from kidneys. What happens, Herbani, is that when a lot of people, when they have cardiovascular disease or chronic kidney disease, they retain potassium in their kidneys, and the kidneys can be fatal. So the product where I am working is a powder. You put it in the water and the patient drinks it. We are the only site that makes this, and our operations are 24/7. So we are the critical supply site for this product, and there's demand all over the world. So during the pandemic, the product was approved in China, and we had to start launching to China. So all these different countries have different regulations. We have to approve. So those are so we work with we start with what our strategy is, what the demand is from the market, and how we're going to meet that demand, which might mean that, okay, we cannot produce like you have an oven, right, at home. If I tell you, Herbani, go bake me 20 cakes in an hour, can you do it in 1 hour? 20 cakes in one oven?
This is not even related to, I just can't cook, so I probably would tell you an absolute no.
Okay, so project manager is similar. We have constraints. So what we call constraints can be people constraints, like I don't have physical people to work on the project. It can be money. I don't have capital, I don't have money. Or I, simply don't have the time. So what can the company do? Company can expand, company can find some contract manufacturers that they can produce our medicine for us, and we sell it. So those are the type of challenges and things we have to meet, because our site is supplying the world and we're expanding our site. So a lot of construction is happening, and new vessels are coming in, new production lines are being set up, and some process improvement projects, whereas some tools like project management, I deployed a tool for the company because I started here recently 2 years ago, and there was no way. So it was very cowboyish, and everybody was doing whatever they wanted. So I put a process in place, and then I gave them some tools and gave them some method to the madness. And now, we are much more organized. And so I work in both strategy and working on a site which is 24/7. So it's a very kind of happening. Like, people are coming from their 2 shifts, one in the morning, then the one in the night. So it's like 12-hour shifts, 2 12-hour shifts. So it's really challenging. I don't have to be on the site and produce anything, but I have to manage the projects that will help us increase our capacity or solve the problems that might be being faced.
Very insightful. Okay, well, as to now, I kind of want to ask a question, and this is coming from someone who has parents within project management. So, do you come across, or do you have the opportunity of working with CIOs, CFOs, and CEOs? And if you do have the opportunity of working with such leaders, what kind of challenges can you come across in this field, and what kind of challenges do you come across with your colleagues?
So no matter who you work with, no matter where they are in the hierarchy. So for a site, the GM is the CEO. The general manager of the site is the CEO. So I work with him. But it doesn't matter. They can be high up in the chain or not. What you have to understand is their needs. You have to be able to clearly articulate what your customer wants. If you don't understand what they want, you're going to go ahead and make a solution and come back and say, well, they will say, well, I didn't want that. You didn't understand. So first, try to understand, connect with your audience, and make sure that the stakeholders, they understand, and you understand, and you are able to explain, and then you understand their problem. So whoever it is, try to understand their motivations, where they're coming from, what they want to achieve, because you need to make a lot of allies when you work as a project manager. And that is learning different motivations of people, and then you have to figure out who is the influential person and who you need to influence, so that person will go influence the other person. So in projects, we have something called sponsors. So I make sure that when my project managers run the project, I tell them and I coach them, make sure your sponsor is your voice. He or she goes and solves the roadblocks for you. Your project gets into a roadblock, resources are not working, or something happened. Don't be the bad guy. Make the sponsor, because the sponsor is higher up in the organization, they will be able to convince their colleagues or others. So again, it comes down to relationship management and having the awareness of a complete understanding of the why, the need. What are you trying to solve for?
Yes, I completely agree. I think those are also interpersonal skills. I hope you can agree on that, is that, we all need those in some way or another. Relationship management is very, very crucial. Another question we have is, and then after this question, I would love if we all within our classroom could ask questions. I would love if anyone wanted to directly engage in a Q&A session. So students will be able to directly ask you any questions they may have. So one of our next questions on my list is, within this field, what are the 3 most important characteristics you suggest that are needed to be successful and potentially go up the hierarchy, get a better promotion? What characteristics are those, and why are they needed?
Resilience. So don't give up. When we all, I've heard this saying, I don't know the source, but have the resilience and don't have that mindset where you the saying is, I never lose, I either win or learn, right? So never have that mindset that don't take a setback personally. Don't take things personally, period. Take feedback as a gift. Don't take it personally. When somebody tries to tell you something, even if it's a friend or a colleague or a senior, always seek feedback, because Sometimes you don't know what you're doing wrong, and the other person might be able to advise you. So be resilient. Don't give up. Secondly, seek feedback. And third, communicate clearly. Interpersonal relationship. Communicate very clearly and listen. Listen, don't talk. Be the last person in the room to talk. So figure out what the other person may want, because you may be very excited and you may come in a meeting and you say, you know what, this is what I think and all blah, blah, blah. And then you might want to eat your words later on, which is too late, right? So always wait until you figure out what's going on, you figure out what is happening, and be the last to speak.
Excellent. At this time, I would love to open it up to anyone who has questions. So, the raise hand feature would be working, or the chat box. So either one, but yeah, anyone has questions for our guest speaker can go ahead.
Okay, let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think with the pandemic? What do you guys think? Have you guys, if any, but anyone can answer, were you thinking last year that I want to do this, and after the pandemic, has it made you think differently, or in terms of your career, personal life, any reflection?
Hi, I'll go first. I'm Miss Hake. So thank you so much for being here. And that's an awesome question. And I think that it's a great question for them to think about as, people who are soon to be going into the job field. And, I don't think we ever thought that dealing with a pandemic was going to be a real world problem, but here we are. So I'll answer your question first. Absolutely. I think my students, and I mean, I'm sure y'all can attest to this, my students are the reason that I'm still here in this field. Many teachers, I mean, I remember when we were put under quarantine, we were told on a Sunday night, hey, tomorrow you're going to be teaching virtually. And so that was a big shock for us as teachers, but that's also a huge shift for our students to make. So, like changes like that were really hard to deal with. And I never in my life thought that I would be teaching students, much less debate virtually. So I'm grateful that you guys were, confident enough in my abilities to still take the class this year, because you guys have completely opened my eyes and just been amazing. But I'm really excited to see what, they always say the students that are in high school right now are preparing for jobs that aren't even created yet. And I am so excited to see what new opportunities become available. And I think a lot of remote work is going to be, I think it's going to be a lot more common than we ever thought. And I think businesses are completely restructuring the way that they hire and train employees, and just expect them to do their jobs. So I think it's really scary and it happened really fast. It's been really hard, but I think there's going to be a lot of really good things that come from it.
Very good. Good perspective. I'm reading the comments. I'm going to say your name wrong. Brienne. She said, I've had some time to rethink some opportunities I thought I had, and some more opportunities open. And it's so well said, because you never know what's in store for you. So have faith. And Jesus said that absolutely. I think with the pandemic, we all had a lot of time to reflect on our lives, and Bryn agrees with Jesus. So yes, Sydney, Ms. Hake, what you said was very spot on. We don't know, there will be some new opportunities created. As an example, at a site we make medicine, right? We cannot make the medicine virtually. right? But we can solve some problems virtually. So sometimes it's knowledge sharing. So, we used to fly people from other sites and now we can't. It's pandemic. So guess what? You guys, you use virtual reality headsets, right? For gaming and all. We're using HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens and all to do virtual problem solving. So I'm wearing the headset. I am not the machine operator, but let's imagine he's a machine operator. He's going to the machine and we have Microsoft Teams open. So they're chatting with each other and they can look at the machine and the expert sitting in Australia can tell you what's going on. So we are able to solve real production problems on the shop floor remotely because of the pandemic. So there's always new opportunities created. So, in the past, one would think, oh, no, you have to go on a business trip. You have to go and you have to teach and you have to do this. But no, you're challenging the norms now. And and a lot of things. What is one thing that has happened is a lot of companies wanted to have a digital transformation. So, digital means not only digitizing my paper into a online, but it's a mindset. It's how you guys probably are easy audience because you understand you're all using all the social media and all that. But the way companies work sometimes are very inefficient, old methods, old ways of working. And market industry says, yeah, everybody needs to go digital. But 35% of companies just talk about it. They don't actually do the things. But now there was no choice. You had to do it, right? So, yes. So that's why I say resilience is key. Be prepared of what might come your way. Think of things as opportunities, not obstacles. And you said, Ms. Haig, also networking is important. If you don't know what's out there, you won't be able to figure it out. So network, even at this age, start to network, start to go to, there's so many information. There's webinars, there's LinkedIn courses, there's other sites that offer free courses. So explore like project management 101. If this inspired you, just go to a 101, type 101, project management 101, and learn about it. You might find something that interests you. All right.
I wanted to add on to that. A lot of people have had the time. Gabriella put in the chat just right now that, initially she thought she wanted to be a dermatologist and now she wants to be a child psychologist. And if I could just add on to what Mrs. Ahmed said in a sense, one thing this pandemic has exposed is that initially within the corporate world, within any field, we were all in person. We would take business trips, like she said, to go and meet our clients. We would be seeing each other in school. We would be playing basketball together on our school teams, whatever, you know what I'm saying. But now it's all behind a screen. So I think now more than ever before, networking is very important because you don't have that face-to-face interaction with someone. So if I could say, I would like to say everyone should go today and download LinkedIn. No advertising. LinkedIn did not sponsor me, but I would strongly suggest that LinkedIn has become one social media app in our lives, no matter what age, where you span. But it is important because that is how you can build connections. There's endless amount of articles, people on LinkedIn that are willing to connect with you and willing to talk to you about your future and your career aspirations. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Very good point. And also seek mentors, like Herbani's mentioned. People are there to help you, so seek people. People are willing to help. Seek people who might be from something that might be intriguing you, or even if you start your career from a different group, from a different industry, because you never know what you might learn from somebody's experience or exposure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mrs. Ahmed, for joining us. When Omar reached out to me with this opportunity, I was very beyond elated because we have not had someone speak on this field yet, but I'm very, very glad that we had you, and you've given us a very, very different perspective that I think we will all, take a look now and have a moment to think about.
My pleasure, Harbani. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
All right. Bye, Ms. Haig.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys. Harbani, thank you. That was amazing. That's amazing.
Of course. Is it just me or is
Ravani,
everyone?
you're so good at like interviewing people. I just have to say that. Like you're really
I know you should be a professional like interviewer.
like you should be like those like the CNN anchors or the CNN people.
You know, I have to tell you guys, every time I do it with this class, especially when I do it with 4A, you guys are so genuine and you guys are so sweet. Like, I could have never done this year if it weren't for our amazing teacher, Mrs. Hake, which is actually, when I came to 11th grade, I was like, okay, new year. I will go leaving high school knowing that the best teacher I've ever had in my whole life is Mrs. Hake, because I'm honestly telling y'all, if she did not support me and if she was not here for me, none of this would be possible. So thank you, Mrs. Hake, and thank you to each and every one of you who are, looking forward to all of our interviews always.
And Harbani, I just booked Chris Zacher. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I did see that. I saw that in the chat. Yes.
Cool.
And then I just wanted to let everyone know, next Tuesday, we will actually be in an interview with the co-founder of Ultima Tutoring, which is a nonprofit organization. So if you guys have any questions beforehand, go ahead and email them to me as usual. But, if you have the time, take some time and write some questions. We always like when you guys are having some questions that can directly allow you to engage with the guest speaker.
And then I'm super excited because I'm nerdy.